Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Steven. I'm here with Paycheck to Paycheck, and today I'm going to talk to you about your budget so that you can stop living paycheck to paycheck. Now, before you click away, I want you to just kind of remove that negative connotation from your head about what a budget is. In short, a budget does not mean that you're broke. What a budget really means is that you just have a job or an assignment for each and every dollar that you go out and work so hard for. If every single multi-billion-dollar business out there has a budget, then why don't you have a budget? Do you work any less hard than like Walmart or Amazon? I mean, do you? So today I'm going to be releasing a little 3-part video series, and that first part I'm just going to be talking with you all about just some concepts, some general concepts about budgeting, and how it got me to start budgeting my money, so that hopefully you can kind of relate to it a little bit and kind of get something out of it and kind of understand a little of, why it's so important. In the second video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share with you guys some of my real numbers as well as some just concepts about budgeting, so that you can kind of just use that to help you and your decision-making process to kind of figure out about, which way would probably be the best way to go about doing this. And in the third video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing with you all a few different budgeting techniques that you can use or try to implement. Now, the most important thing with all of this is to understand that the reason why I'm not giving you guys an exact concrete plan here is because if I give you guys the concepts and you're able to use these concepts to help drive your decision making, then whenever you actually make those decisions, they're going to be a lot more ingrained and in tune with your personal mission, your personal goals, rather than with my own. So it's a lot more powerful if you're able to internalize these concepts and use them to help propel you forward. Now, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching my videos and tuning in so that you can take charge of your life. Now, without further ado, let's go. So, have you ever been talking to someone about a problem that's going on in their life, or maybe you just know someone and they've approached you with a problem that's going on in their life, and so you reach out to them and you try to be as helpful as you can be, and it seems like no matter what solution you come up with for their problem, it's just not good enough. And this is something that's happened to me a lot. I'll try to reach out to someone whenever they have a problem going on, and they'll just tell me, well, that won't work for me because I have X, Y, and Z happening, or you don't know what you're talking about because you don't know what it's like to be me, essentially, or because you don't know what it's like to have this problem or that problem. And the important part is that everybody has a problem, and what's important about these problems isn't necessarily what the problem is. The most important thing is how we go about just responding to that problem. This is something that happens to me a lot, where I'll be talking to someone and I'll hear them say something like, well, you're really lucky to have, money saved, or, I'm not privileged enough to have, what you have. Or, if you make more money, then you're going to have more problems. And we just need to kind of dispel all those myths right now. See, I like to think of myself as a problem solver, and what this means is that if you come to me with a problem, or if I have a problem, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my hardest to find a solution to that problem. And I mean, I get it. I used to be the same type of person that would just make every excuse I could find in the book to come up with to justify what was happening to me or why my life wasn't where it was. I was notorious for making excuses. And as time went on, I finally began to realize that the more excuses that I would make for my problems, then the more problems I would actually have. And at the same time, people that had approached me in the past and tried to be a problem solver a lot further along in their personal journey through life. They didn't have, a million excuses. They would have like 1,001 solutions. And it's really interesting because it seemed to me as time went on that these people that weren't busy making excuses really just have a much better grasp on this whole life thing that you and I all, have to experience and go through. So, needless to say, with the help of my amazing girlfriend, what I ended up doing was I finally decided to just quit running away from my problems, and I decided to just face my problems head on. When my back was up against this metaphorical wall and I felt like I had nowhere to go, I had no choice but to face these problems head on and just try to address them one by one. And this was not an easy transition for me, but what ended up happening is that as time went on, what took so much energy to just solve or handle one of my problems just became a whole lot easier going forward. And then solving these problems wasn't nearly as hard, and it actually just kind of became second nature, and my brain just automatically started to work in the way in which it tried to just seek an answer instead of trying to seek a reason. And that was probably the biggest transition for me. And then once I was able to make that transition, that's whenever my money issues actually just kind of tend to go away. So I know that some of you guys are probably thinking, okay, Steven, we get it. You're a problem solver. What does that really mean? And what does that have to do anything with my money or my budget? And think about it like this. Have you ever been so broke that you couldn't make your car payment? Or so broke that your insurance had lapsed for a month? Or so broke that on your way to work you couldn't even get gas? Or you couldn't get gas without putting it on a credit card, but that credit card already had a high balance on it, or whatever the case may be, or just ever had student loan debt that's ahead of you and it's just so massive. It's just this massive pile of student loan debt, and you honestly feel like it's very encumbering and like you're just never going to be able to move past it. Or what about whenever you're at the grocery store and you're with one of your children and they approach you and they're all like, "Mommy, Daddy, can I have this cool new toy?" And you're just like, I'm so sorry because I don't really know what to say about that, but I don't have the money. We can't afford it. And then after you tell your kid that you can't afford it, then for some reason we tend to put ourselves on this guilt trip where we start to fault ourselves for, struggling this hard and not having this whole money thing figured out. And I mean, you're not a failure. Plain and simple, just because you can't afford something does not mean that you're a failure. And as you get better with your budget, you'll start to realize, you may have money in the bank, but are you willing to spend that money in the bank on something that's not gonna bring you much value here in the next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and longer as time goes on? So with all these different scenarios, so the common denominator there would seem to be you just don't have enough money, and that's honestly it's not necessarily the case. So how do we go about and fix those problems that we just laid out? And so before we can actually address those problems, let's just kind of think about this. How many of you guys out there think that that your life would just be so much better and so much easier if you just had an extra $200, $300, $500 a month? And, would that be life-changing money for you? Would it really make that big of a difference? And I know a lot of you are thinking, well, obviously, because if I can make more money, then I can buy more things, I can do more stuff, and I can go more places, and a lot of my problems that I seem to have will just poof, go away and vanish into thin air as if they weren't even there in the first place. And then I would be so much happier because I didn't have this big old laundry list of problems just weighing me down. And so my goal here is to just help you realize that more money would not necessarily fix your problem, but it might actually compound that problem. We as humans tend to just consume every available resource that we have until it's gone. Don't believe me? Take a look around. I mean, seriously, just scroll through Facebook or YouTube or whatever your choice of social media is, and just take a look around at all the stuff that's going on and just think how wasteful we are. If you think about, how much we just throw stuff away, how much we just, go and replace stuff as soon as it's, a little old. I mean, really just think about it. Think about your bank account. How often do you see $5 in there and you think, oh, I can get a soda on my way to work? Or whatever your thing is. Just think about it like that. So you're essentially consuming every available resource that you have until it's just gone. And then, so we tend to go to work and so we can earn more, and then we work more so that we can earn more. And as we earn more, we tend to consume more, and on the cycle goes. And that's where terms or phrases such as more money, more problems comes from. And that's really not the case. So on and on the cycle goes, and we just spend our life energy, which is completely limited, just to go and buy this stuff that's supposed to make us happy, but it doesn't actually make us any happier. But we tell ourselves that it does make us happy because then we can go and do this, we can buy that, and then on and on that rationalizing cycle goes, and we never actually stop to just think to ourselves, how sustainable is it for me to just go and keep on consuming as much resources as I'm producing, or worse, consuming even more resources than I'm able to produce? And I do that by, using a credit card or getting a loan for this and a loan for that. What you're doing whenever you're taking on a loan and taking on an interest rate to a bank or a financial institution or someone that's not yourself is you're decreasing your future earnings. You really are. And just kind of think about it, because if you watch my video on compound interest, as time goes on and that interest really starts to accumulate, that interest can either be going away from you or it can be coming towards you. And my goal is I want you to be on the right side of that equation and not on that other side where everybody else is just getting rich off of you going and working so hard. I don't want you to continue going to work and working so hard just so you can continue to pay interest to everybody else, all these companies, all these banks, and etc. that are really just interested in the interest that they're able to earn off of your hard work. They really just want to earn their interest off of your time, and I really want you to start earning your interest off of your time. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this first of my 3-part video series on budgeting. In the next video, like I said, I'm just going to talk to you guys about the problems that I noticed that I had with money. And then I'm going to kind of share with you guys a little bit of my personal numbers, just so I can, keep it 100% transparent here. And if you really enjoyed this first video and were able to kind of get something from it, then be sure to tap that like button like there is no tomorrow. And go ahead and hit that subscribe bell as well, just so that you don't miss out on the future content that I'm going to be releasing. Thank you guys so much, and remember, if you never stop learning, then you will never stop earning.